Hey Toy Addicts, this is Jody, and it's time once again for another What Sold on eBay video. So I haven't done one of these in a while. I'm sure you've noticed. I got sick about almost a month and a half ago now, and I was sick for 23 days. Had to go to the doctor 3 times, 2 rounds of antibiotics, and I'm finally starting to feel better, but my throat isn't great. So we're going to go through this. We're going to start at the top, the biggest sales that I've had, and then we're going to work our way down. And I'm probably not going to go more than 30 minutes, and we'll see how we fare. If you want to see more of my sales, you can always go to my eBay store, which is linked in the bio, and then go to completed, and you can see all the completed sales on my store. So we had some pretty good sales in the last 90 days, which is what we're going to go through because I haven't done any of these videos in a while. And I'll tell you, if you're new here, my name is Jody, also known as Toy-Addict. And I have been selling on eBay since before eBay was eBay, when it was still called Auction Web, so 96-ish. Right now I'm selling on eBay pretty much full time. I have some other side things, but pretty much eBay. And this is what I got for you. I also sell on Mercari and Bonanza, but of course those, and Etsy, those all are much smaller. And I probably won't show you those sales on this video either. I have some pretty good sales over there, but today we're sticking with eBay. Anyway, let's get going. So let's start out with what I think is my biggest sale, which is this 1880s St. Paul Ice Carnival medallion. Now, I've had this for quite a while. I picked it up at a sale, and I actually thought it was super interesting, and I contacted someone at the St. Paul, Minnesota Ice Carnival and asked them if they wanted it for history's sake, because it's from the second year that they did this, and nobody ever got back to me. So it sat in a box because I was waiting, and I opened that box recently because I'm trying to bring down my death pile, and did a little bit of research and listed it for $6.99 on as an auction, starting at $699.99, and somebody bought it, $700. So that was nice. So if you find 1880s large, like this big, heavy medallion from the St. Paul Ice Carnival, it's a good buy. Will you ever find that? Probably not. But if you do, now you know. The next item that I sold did not sell for this much. Sometimes eBay shows a slash through to tell you it didn't sell for this much. Sometimes they don't. So this one did not sell for this much, although I do think it sold for $350 is what I ended up taking for it. But this was a pen. It's a Mercedes-Benz pen, and it's got an Andy Warhol design on it. I randomly picked this up at an estate sale for $2 because I saw Mercedes and Andy Warhol, and I thought, interesting. I didn't even look it up. I just threw it in my bag for $2. I figured somebody's going to want this, and they did. It took a long time. I probably had this listed starting at $550 because that was a comp of another one that sold. I probably had this listed for 2 years, but I actually had completely forgotten about it. So when it sold, I was like, oh no, I better still have that. And I did, thank goodness. But yeah, I think it was about $350 that it sold for. This next item doesn't look like much. It's more than this. This is seafoam green polystyrene tiles. They look like ceramic tiles, but they're plastic. They're like a hard plastic. And I had bought 2 boxes of these, one this green and one a pink. And I actually thought I would do some kind of project with them, but eventually they've been sitting in my garage for a couple of years, and so eventually I just decided I'm going to list them. And I put them, there was, some of them had been used, some of them hadn't, so the boxes weren't completely full. But I paid $10 for both boxes. And here it shows this listing. I sold 354 of the tiles for $200. I also sold a few other lots of them. So I had them in lots of like 15, and people were buying them like that. And, you know, someone bought like 3 lots of 15. Somebody bought, I had ones that were kind of damaged, and they bought like a lot of 24 of those. So I probably overall made, I don't know, sold about $350 worth on these plastic tiles. So if you see these on any kind of like mid-century modern fixtures and stuff that people use when they're trying to do renovations, they can, that kind of stuff can do well. And so, you know, happy to sell this lot for $200. This next item here is the Mattel Heart Family Grandparents. These sold for $100. I bought these from a Facebook Marketplace listing. I just happened to be looking one day and I saw these, and I believe I paid $20 or $25 for them, knowing that they would sell for around $100. I had them listed for $125. They did take a while to sell, but it seems like in the 80s and 90s there were a lot of like grandparent toys that you could get. You know, Hart Family Grandparents, Fisher-Price Dollhouse Grandparents, Fisher-Price Little People Grandparents. There were a lot of grandparenty type toys. And so those, they sell well. They just do. I don't know. People want grandparent dolls, I guess. This next item just actually sold the other day, yesterday, from when I'm filming this. I don't know when this is going to go out, but from when I'm filming it, it sold yesterday. This is a Sanrio vintage little twin stars. It's just a little like little dresser. So you would put your stationery and stuff in it, your little stamps and stickers and paper clips and stuff like that. I bought this for $5 in an estate sale, and it sold for $90. And it took probably about a month and a half to sell from when I listed it. This next item is really cool. This is a Chips target game from 1981. So it has a little gun and little targets. Now, Ponch and John never pulled their guns on the show Chips. Put their hands on their holsters a few times, never pulled the guns. But you're going to pull your gun in this game. And I know that because I went to a Comic-Con panel and with Ponch and John and listened to the story of them saying they never pulled their guns out. And I actually recorded that panel, and you can watch that on my channel if you want to watch Ponch and John talking about their days on Chips and their Chips stories and stuff. You can watch that on this channel. It's a fun video if you enjoyed Chips. And that sold for $72. I paid $10 for it. I had it listed for about a year, maybe not quite a year, but so it sat there for a long time waiting for the right person. And I figured a Chips game from 1981 might take a while to sell. And it did. This next item is a planter. If you've watched my videos before, you know I love these little planters. I have a few that I've kept in my collection, but I love to put these in my windows and display them while I'm waiting for them to sell. And this one is a really cute Easter egg little bunny that sold for $65. This next item was an interesting item I picked up at a garage sale. It's a Pantone color formula guide. It's a fan deck. It's kind of like the paint store fan decks, which those can sell too, and I've sold those. But They sell between $20 and $40 usually, but this one is actually Pantone color. So this is used by artists and apparel designers and anybody who uses the most popular colors will use these. This is not current, it's from 2005, but people still use these in their job. And apparently they're very, very expensive when you buy them new. So I paid $5 for 2 fan decks, and this one sold for $60, and the other one sold quite a while ago, I believe for $80. So that was a pretty good $5 investment. But if you find any of these kind of fan decks, even the paint ones, look them up at least. Here's an interesting one. This is a vintage Avon hard bristle hairbrush. This is a used hairbrush. Now I did clean it up really well, but this is a used hairbrush from the 70s. I paid $1 for this, and it sold in a day for $60. People love their old hairbrushes. They want to replace them. They don't want to ever use something different. I completely understand that. And I used the same hairbrush from like 2nd grade till I was like 40. And and especially these Avon hairbrushes can do really well. The most expensive one I sold was like $110. So this one, used hairbrush, sold for $60. So I always check the bathroom at estate sales, and I'm always looking for Avon hairbrushes. This next item is the Great Omi Ripley Believe It or Not postcard, and this sold for $60. I bought this at a flea market for the postcards were 5 for $1. So I paid 20 cents for this and sold for $60 in about 2 days. And this next item is a mohair lion plush, but this sold for $55, but I paid $4 for it. So I'm still happy with that. This next item is an Aquaman Underoos set from 1978. It's Underoos. I mean, if you were alive in the 70s and 80s, you remember Underoos. I did not put the word underwear in the title of this because you are not allowed to sell used underwear, and these were used sets. Clearly nobody's buying these to wear. They're buying them to collect, because a lot of people do collect these sets because, you know, they're Marvel and DC comic characters and stuff like that. But I knew just putting the word Underoos and putting them in like a comic category would still get the attention of the collectors. And that sold, I paid $5 per set, and you'll see a few more of those coming up. And this one sold for $55. That was the best one. This is a Pendleton sweater. I paid $2 for this at a garage sale, and it took a while to sell, but it sold for $50. And then we have a Disney Pixar Alien pin board. Disney pin collectors are ravenous. They love their Disney pins. I'm one of them, so I love my Disney pins. I bought this pin board at the Disney store, and I didn't end up using it, and so it's kind of been sitting in my closet for a long time, and I bought it. I probably paid about $20 for it, but I didn't intend to sell it ever. I didn't buy it for resale, but since I decided not to use it, I put it up for $50, and it sold in maybe about a month, so pretty good. Here's another one of those bears. This one sold for $50. This next item is a t-shirt from the 1980s, 1988 to be exact. This is a niche market here. This is a professional wrestling tag team from local Portland wrestling indie promotion, and this was the most popular tag team in Portland wrestling at the time, but this shirt sold for $50. And yes, they were my favorite tag team. That wasn't a shirt, that was mine from back then. I've saved mine because I save things. This is a Boy Scout sash and badges from the 1930s. I put it on an auction, and you'll see this a couple more times because I lowered the price, and it did not sell. So that did not sell for $49.99. And this is a Dawn 2005, so a reproduction topper Dawn outfit. This sold for $44. I believe I paid up for this. I think I paid like $15 or maybe even $20 for this, knowing that it would sell. And it took a while, longer than I thought, but it sold for $44. This next item I got in the free box at a garage sale is an O-gauge working on the railroad electric steam train set, and that sold for $40. And then this is a Best Seal manual envelope sealer. I went to a thrift store the other day, and office supplies, you'll see some more things in here. Crazy prices people pay for office supplies. I paid $4 for this, and it was in the box, and I looked it up when I was there to make sure that it was, sellable, and I took an offer of $35 for it in like 2 days, so it was a good one. This is a scrapbook of stickers. If you followed along on my channel, you know that a few years ago now, I bought 10 giant scrapbooks full of stickers from the 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s. And this was one of the smaller ones. Most of them sold for about $150 to $200, but this was a much smaller one. It sold for $42. And then I have a Thomas guide from 1983. I think I underpriced this because it sold in 5 minutes for $40. This next item is a clay art pocket vase, and I bought this at a flea market for $8, and it sold in about a day for $40. And then here we have another Avon hairbrush, vintage hairbrush from the 70s, maybe the 80s. This one was in worse condition than the other one. Some of the bristles were bent and stuff, and it had some marks on it. So I listed this one for $40, and it also sold really quick. And again, paid $1 for it. This is a Batman towel. This was from the 60s, and it's in pretty poor shape. It's pretty thin. It was used a lot. There's a little hole in it. There's some marks on it, which of course I mentioned all of that. Anytime I'm listing something, I'm going to put all the flaws. I would rather under promise and over deliver than the other way around. So you're going to know if there's a flaw in it, you're going to know from me. Unless I missed it. I do sometimes miss things, but I'm going to do my best to make sure that you know there's a flaw if there's a flaw. Anyway, so this towel sold for $40. This is a menu. If you haven't seen, I have a video about selling menus, what to look for. And this is one of the ones that is interesting because it's die cut. So it's not just a square menu. It was also very small. And it's not just from a regular restaurant. It's from a drugstore. So it's like a drugstore counter. And it's just the salad menu from the drugstore counter. So it had a lot of interesting things going for it. And that sold for $40. And I paid $2 for that. This is Max Factor retractable lipstick brush. I paid $2 for this at a flea market, and it sold for $40. I love selling vintage 50s, 60s health and beauty stuff. Here is another one of those planters that I was talking about. This one is so cute. It's a little baby in like a space helmet in front of a little rocket. Super cute. It had a little bit of damage on it that I caused because I dropped the bag, and thank goodness the whole thing didn't break, but it did chip it on the bottom. So I figure I could have gotten a little bit more, maybe up to $40 for it without that chip, but sold for $35. And I believe I paid $10 for it. So I kind of paid up for it because I knew how cute it was. And here's another menu. This is a Chinese restaurant in Seattle that sold for $36. Most of the menus I paid $2 to $4 for. So in that price range. This was an interesting set of brass stencils. These were just in the office supplies at an estate sale. I always go and check those out. And I paid $2 for the package of these, and they sold for $30 pretty quickly, like within a week. This little bicycle badge here was from Earl Royal Bicycle by the McDonald Brothers. Pretty rare, but also these aren't the hottest of the hot right now. I feel like if I would have listed this a few years ago, I would have gotten it quite a bit more money. But I started at $30 on eBay, and it sold for $36. Sandy Lion sticker sheet. This sold for $38.40. I paid probably less than 5 cents for a ton of these Sandy Lion sticker sheets, and some of them have sold for over $200. This was a little less. I've had these for about 3 years now, so I'm putting the prices down and down and down to try and get rid of stuff. So $38.40 though is pretty good for 5 cents investment, even if it did take a couple of years. This next item is a kid's t-shirt. It has paint all over it, has a bunch of writing on it. Well, the writing is actually autographs. This is another one of those niche local indie wrestling promotions, Portland Wrestling. I mean, it's the same promotion, but Portland Wrestling, and it's autographs from a bunch of the Portland wrestlers in the 1980s. This was my brother's shirt. It wasn't in the greatest condition, and it's a kid's shirt, and I decided to let it go anyway. So it sold for $35. And there's another version of that Scout sash that did not sell for $35. This next item is a print ad for toy guns, a smoke ring gun, and a Buck Rogers sonic ray gun. This one-page print ad sold for $35. And then I have a Tammy doll case. This sold for $30. I did some retail arbitrage a few years back with some Disney items, and then put them in a box, and they went at the back of my closet, and I completely forgot about them. So recently I found that box and was like, oh, some stuff to sell. Cool. So I listed this Pixar blanket. It's like one of those tapestry blankets, and I paid $10 for it in the retail arbitrage, and it sold for $30. This is an Anne of Green Gables complete set of 8 books. Picked that up at a garage sale for $3 and sold it for $30. And this 1954 Easter Bunny coloring book I just picked up at the flea market last month for $3, and that sold for $30. WWF Classic cards. I bought a whole box of wrestling sports cards. I don't really do much with any kind of trading cards really, but wrestling is something I know something about, so I felt more comfortable with these than I would say basketball or baseball or whatever. So because I am a wrestling fan. And so these were from 1990 classic WWF cards, a lot of 133, and they sold for $30. And here's another Underoos set. This sold for $30. The Flash. Another Menu. I paid $1 for this at a garage sale, and it sold for $30. And this is a Fitz and Floyd Art Glass Menagerie Colorful Butterfly. It was in this little box. I paid 50 cents, and it sold for $30. I'll usually take a look at things that are Fitz and Floyd when I see them, because those can do pretty well. More wrestling cards. These sold for $30. This is a Bead So Pretty Pocahontas doll. This doll is 18 inches tall. She has the same body mold as the supersized Barbie from like 1978. And I pick these up every time I find them. They're not fast sellers, but they always sell. And I usually get 22 to 25 for them. This one I got 28 because she also had her beads and stuff with her. She usually doesn't. And more wrestling cards for $30, and another set of brass stencils for, I think I took like $23 for these. An Old Maid set of playing cards. These are large Old Maid cards, not like the little ones. These sold for $26. Vintage Quiltex baby blanket sold for $25. Some Strawberry Shortcake birthday party supplies that I had in my collection sold for $25. This Fisher-Price Fun with Food. It's not just these two things. It's also 3 or 4 other Fun with Food sets. I put them all together and gave the person a deal for $25 to try and get those out the door. This little Horseman Disney Mary Poppins doll from the 60s. She sold for $25. These are Ocean Pacific shorts. They're kids size, 25-inch waist. I put the waist size in case, an adult who was small would want them. But if you find these same shorts in adult sizes, they sell for up to $125. So they're corduroy, and they have the little OP for Ocean Pacific. If you were a kid in the 80s, everyone wore Ocean Pacific, at least here in the Northwest, and people were obsessed with Ocean Pacific. So when I saw these for $2 in an estate sale, I picked them up because I thought, oh, that would be neat. Not realizing that, I wish they were adult size because they have the exact same shorts. Nice little short shorts for the guys for $25. If you've been with me for a while, you know that I have sold a ton of lots of these utensils that have like hand-forged handles on them. These sold for $22. And I paid $18 for a big bag of it, and I split that up into 10 different lots. And I have 1 lot left, so of butter knives. So hopefully that sells soon. This is a Maxfield Parrish print from 1925. It was the top of a calendar, and it's in pretty poor condition. I had some more of these from different calendars, different years, but I actually got these for free, and this one sold for $24.50. I did not have 2 of these sweaters, but I think it's kind of funny because this is like sister brand, like Tia and Tamara from the TV show, and there's 2 of them here. But these are, or this one sold, and then someone changed their mind and canceled, and then it sold again a couple weeks later, and then they didn't cancel. So it sold for $25. More wrestling cards sold for $25. This is a 1998 Valentine's Kmart ad that sold for $25. Yep, this is just like the Kmart, the ad from the newspaper. This is a vintage 60s Eeyore plush, and he sold for $25. And this Portland history item here is actually from a theater called the Montevilla Theater. It's from 1912, and that sold for $25. And then some more theater programs here sold for $25. More wrestling cards for $25. This is neat. I actually learned about this one on Bolo Buddies. This is a Scotch pop-up tape at garage sales, thrift stores, garage sales, thrift stores, estate sales. You guys know estate sales are really my jam. That's where I like to pick stuff up. I go in and look through the office supplies. If I find stuff, vintage stuff still in the packaging, or consumable stuff like this still in the packaging, so I'll at least look it up. But I had actually seen these specific tape refills on a Bolo Buddies video. Check out her videos if you haven't. And so I bought several packages of these and listed them for $25 each. So I believe I've sold 2 of the 4 that I got, and I also got some dispensers as well. Here's another pair of underoos. This is Tonto Legends of Lone Ranger. And then another print ad for a Batman tunnel. It sold for $25. And another menu sold for $25. This is a Looney Tunes little scarf that sold for $25. And this little RPPC, which is real photo postcard from the Copper Flat Pit Mine, sold for $25. I paid 20 cents for that. Here's some more wrestling cards. These sold for $25. And a Disneyland pamphlet, travel pamphlets, especially Disney. You know, Disney and Disneyland specifically, old stuff is going to do well. This is from 1977, and that sold for $25. Here's some more of that Disney retail arbitrage that I found in that box. This is a Pixar Up shirt, and it sold for $24. And then this menu, New Joe's Italian restaurant in San Francisco, sold for $24.50. Again, I believe I paid $2 for that one. This is a My Child disposable diaper set, and that sold for $22. And some antique Little Orphan Annie Mickey paper doll set. Those sold for $24. Now, you know I love the vintage health and beauty and selling stuff like that. Sometimes you find some interesting stuff. This is Conti dry hair shampoo with olive oil. And it's a bottle full of shampoo from probably the 60s. Somebody paid $21.25 for that, and I paid $0.25 for it at a garage sale. Ohio Art Farm Friends set. I paid $3 for this and sold for $20. This is another part of that Heart family lot that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace. This sold, it's a bathtub, it sold for $20. And another piece of office supplies, which is this red permanent marker. It's just a red permanent marker. Paid $1 for it. Sold for $22 in like a day. Someone was excited to get that. I got this book called Oh No. It's a lift the flap book, so it's kind of like a pop-up book. And that sold for $21.25. Vintage king size sheets, $18. Now, if you've been watching me for a while, you know I used to sell the heck out of vintage sheets. They're just not as hot right now as they were. Now, some people might be still getting good money for them, and that's great. And if you find the right ones, I think you can. But I have some for sale on my store right now that 2-3 years ago would have been gone immediately and have been sitting there for a couple of months. So I just think they're not as hot as they once were. But these sold for $18. This is some baby yarn that sold for $20. A pair of shoes that I bought for myself, but they didn't fit right. Those sold for $20. Another menu sold for $20.40. Little drowsy baby beans doll, Mattel doll from 1980. She sold for $20. Another Disneyland travel brochure. This is a map from Disneyland that sold for $22. And I have 4 of these, so that's good. They probably all won't sell for that much just because I have so many, but 22 is a good place to start. This is a Mrs. Beasley coloring book from the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, I think, is when Family Affair was a show. So that is sold for $20. I sold this awesome 80s shirt. This was actually my personal shirt, but it is actually, I bought it from a men's store in the mall. It's pink. It's crop. It says Beach Bum University on it, and then it says Portland at the bottom. So I'm from Portland. Portland is not at the beach. I mean, we have a beach like 90 to 100 miles away from here, over the mountains, but Portland is not at the beach. But this is a funny shirt, and actually a friend of mine bought it. I kind of thought, before I listed it, I wonder if he would want it. No, because his aesthetic is more 70s, but he bought it from me, so. this is how we were living in the 80s. Men were wearing pink crop tops. Okay, that was cool then. And this is a Lady Chic Lasting Curls Pre-Setting Mist Conditioner Spray. Sold for $20. Here's that other set of knives that sold for $16.80. And some very cute vintage kitschy greeting cards, a box of them that sold for $20. And a Disney Little Mermaid pair of leggings that I actually bought at the parks. They ended up being a little too short. I didn't like the length. But so instead of keeping them, I sold them for $20. And this is a pair of granny panties, brand new with tags. These are from the 60s. They're that like real stretchy polyester, and people collect these. And I think probably wear them too, but these sold for $20 and I picked them up for $1 at a garage sale. WWF Classic cards, another lot of these cards sold for $20. And then 3 Statue of Liberty candy containers. I bought a whole display box of these, like maybe 30 of them. 30 total, so 10 sets of all the colors. But I paid $5 for the whole box. And so this set sold for $20, and I think it's probably maybe the 3rd or 4th set that I've sold. So I'm doing pretty good on that. And I think this is where I'm going to leave you guys because my throat can't take anymore. But let me know how you think I did on some of this stuff. If you found anything interesting, make sure and leave me a comment down below. Comment whatever you want. Comment something. If you made it to the end, how about this? Comment a star, because you're a star for making it all the way to the end of the video. But thanks for watching, guys. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Cost you nothing. I'm not putting out that many videos lately, so you're not going to get a bunch of annoying messages saying that I put out 10 videos every day or anything like that. I'll see you next time. Bye.